Ferrari ends Monaco with a podium that tastes of regret. Leclerc is second, Hamilton fifth. But if we look closely, this is one of those weekends where every little detail could change everything. And nothing has changed. In Monte Carlo, if you're not ahead on Saturday, you don't win, and this remains the crucial point. If you enjoy the videos, please hit like to support me. Now, let's begin. In an attempt to make Monaco less predictable, Formula 1 has introduced the rule of 2 mandatory pit stops. But in reality, it has only increased strategic chaos. Technically, this change has removed the problem of degradation,
Monaco,
practically null, and has turned the race into a test of perfect timing and positioning. But the truth is that once again, whoever commands on Saturday holds the fate of Sunday in their hands. From lap 58 onwards, Leclerc remained in Norris's drag reduction system zone for 20 laps, trying to apply pressure, looking for the slightest mistake. It wasn't enough. Norris was perfect. Charles recognized this immediately. I believed it until the end. I thought all night about the points where to try. Opportunities never materialized as Lando defended himself well. It's not frustration, but awareness. Charles knows it. In Monaco, you win on Saturday. And he missed that chance at the penultimate curve Sunday. He just tried to make up for the irretrievable. Overall, it's a positive outcome. This weekend, for pace, solidity, and management, was the best for Ferrari in 2025. And it's significant that Leclerc himself says that this second place goes beyond expectations. His 18 points plus Hamilton's 10 bring the Reds to within 5 of Mercedes in the Constructors' World Championship. Vasseur made it clear, we brought home the maximum possible. Overtaking here is practically impossible. Charles pushed and applied pressure. Lewis had a good pace, but deep down there's a bit of bitterness. It's because the Ferrari was close by, and for once it wasn't slowed down by the car. Hamilton did his penalty in qualifying, lost 3 positions, and had to make up for it. His race was straightforward, lacking both twists and highlights. He finished 5th, 51 seconds behind Norris. He also took from Leclerc.
48.
And that pace too far in the end with the hard is a warning bell. Vasseur justified it with the penalty. We only had 1 car fighting in front. It's true, but in terms of constructors, much more will be needed. Also from Lewis,
because the
Mercedes is declining while Red Bull keeps scoring with just 1 driver. It's Ferrari's chance to take second place in the World Championship, but both SF25S need to be competitive, not just one. Another positive sign is Ferrari's improved performance in slow sections, an area they struggled with until recently. In Monte Carlo, however, we saw a balanced, precise car capable of sticking to the McLarens. The step forward is real and crucial because now we're going to Barcelona, one of the most complete tracks where everything will count. Fast curve, slow curve, tire management, aerodynamic load. If the SF25 holds up there, then the package really is there. In Monaco, the driver variable counts more than elsewhere, but from Barcelona onwards, the whole package will count. And there we will see if Ferrari is really ready to make the quality leap. The problem is that, as Vasseur said, we were 1 car against 2 McLarens. With the penalty imposed on Lewis after qualifying, the team found itself in a tactical numerical inferiority. Hamilton recovered 2 positions, but his race was heavily affected by traffic and a less than ideal balance. In the first 30-35 laps, his pace was good, explained Vasseur, but then he lost 10 seconds in traffic, and from there it was all uphill. Another important point touched on by the team principal concerns the new rule of the 2 mandatory pit stops. Vasseur made it clear that, in his opinion, some teams have taken advantage of the situation to play as a team. I have the feeling that someone slowed down a car to give the other a free pit stop. With this rule, it can be done. It's something that will need to be discussed with Fédération Internationale de l'Automobile and Formula 1 management. Translated, the rule has already opened the door to non-transparent strategies, but now we look ahead. All eyes are on Barcelona, where the highly anticipated technical directive will be implemented. On the flexible front wings, the TD018, and it will be an important test to understand who really played on the edge and who did not. Vasseur mentioned that people discuss a turning point, but the future remains uncertain. The focus is on their own lives. Ferrari will bring only a new front wing to Barcelona, nothing else. A precise choice made to have a clear technical picture on a single element. If it works, the rest will be built around it. If not, we'll know where to intervene. It's not a minor detail. The SF25 has shown notable progress on fast curves, and today in Monaco, it also excelled at slow speeds. The package is more comprehensive than earlier in the season, but we need validation as Barcelona is unforgiving. In Monaco, we'll truly see if Ferrari can start winning, not just hoping. Red Bull took a defensive approach there. For Verstappen, it was clear from the free practice that the RB21 was not adapting. Max says a tire is undrivable, confirming it won't be an easy Saturday. The qualifications proved him right. The problem? Once again, the C6, the softest compound in the Pirelli range, never entered the correct window. Verstappen's best lap was achieved on medium tires, not soft tires. A confirmation that Red Bull continues to struggle when immediate performance is needed, especially on stop-and-go tracks like Monte Carlo. It's clear, the new rule has failed. No overtaking, no revolution, just forced strategies and artificial trains. On the track, the result was nearly identical to the qualifiers. Verstappen, who made the second stop on the last lap, hoping for a red flag that never came. He joked about it in front of the Sky Sport Formula 1 microphones. Yes, it was very exciting. I was on the razor's edge every lap. Behind the irony lies a clear criticism. We had nothing to lose. We had a big margin behind, so it was worth staying out and hoping something would happen. But even if I had made 4 stops, I would still have been 4th. The message is clear. This rule is useless for those who are ahead, and above all, it does not make the race more interesting. Verstappen not only mocked the rule, he exposed the failure of an idea designed to revive a Grand Prix that has been living only on Saturdays for years. In Monaco, either you change the layout and you can't, or you accept that the qualification decides everything, the mandatory stops. The hierarchies don't change, only the way teams do pre-tactics changes. What we saw on Sunday was a paradoxical scenario. Teams that deliberately slow down a car to give the other a free pit stop. And Verstappen understood it immediately. He joked about it, but his smile, as always, was just the tip of the iceberg. As predicted, McLaren claimed the front row with Norris in pole position, while Ferrari had to settle for a lower position. But what happened in Monaco is not just a matter of time. On the lap, it's a story of heads, strategy, and internal balances that are starting to creak. Lando Norris pulled off a perfect lap just when it seemed that Leclerc had put the final stamp on the pole. But no, McLaren took a risk with a bold strategy. Double attempt in Q3 full fuel to guarantee 2 flying laps, with 1 cooldown in between. An unconventional approach, but it worked. The attempt to revolutionize Monaco with 2 mandatory pit stops was rejected across the board. In an attempt to enliven the dullest race, the outcome was a Grand Prix filled with calculations, even more tedious than before. Embarrassing scenes, but devoid of real overtakes or twists. On paper, it seemed like a good idea. More stops, less tire management. In reality, frozen positions, drivers forced to slow down voluntarily to give the free pit stop to the teammate ahead. Strategies reduced to a farce, with Albon acting as a cork, Russell losing patience and cutting the chicane just to overtake him. Hamilton moving from 7th to 5th due to an overcut, and Alonso's retirement is the only one who gained something. Monaco remains the same. You can make up any rule, but if you're 3 seconds faster per lap and you can't overtake, it doesn't make sense. This circuit is narrow, there's no space. The show remains in the hands of Saturday, and Sunday turns into a parade. The Fédération Internationale de l'Automobile tried, but the effect was the opposite. We saw drivers going 4 seconds slower to help their teammates, strategic trains that blocked everything. And no real variable, because without a safety car or red flag, the cards never get shuffled. Toto Wolff made it clear. Maybe we should set minimum times, but we would only add another rule. The problem is that we can't change the layout here. And so, while the public crowds the stands, yachts, and terraces because Monaco remains an unbeatable glamour showcase, a blocked race takes place on the track. Much to the chagrin of the Formula 1 Commission, which last February approved this experiment, hoping for a revolution, Andrea Stella summed it up perfectly. You can't solve the problem of overtaking with pit stops. We need a different Formula 1, smaller cars, less grip, longer braking. Only then can we see something different in Monaco. Until then, there's no point in deluding ourselves. Races in the Principality will still be won by those starting in front. The real show will unfold in the briefings, paddock, and off the track as usual. In Barcelona, Ferrari will bring only one novelty, a front wing. Stop, Vasseur confirmed it. No upgrade package, no revised rear suspension, no new bottom. Nothing but that wing necessary to comply with the Fédération Internationale de l'Automobile Directive against excessive flexibility. And if one thing is clear, it's this. When a team like Ferrari decides not to bring updates specifically to Barcelona, where everyone historically unloads the bulk of the news, it's because there's something bigger underneath. The team is concentrating all efforts on a macro evolution, but one point needs clarification first. The effect of the TD018 could reshuffle the
cards. Like,
Vasseur stated that while everyone speaks of a turning point, nobody truly knows what will occur. There will be a change, but how much it will impact each team is still unknown. We are only preparing ourselves on that element to understand well where we are. And in the meantime, the SF25 will hit the track in Spain with only a new front wing. A clear, targeted choice, which says a lot about the caution and method with which Ferrari wants to tackle the second third of the season. On the Monaco weekend, Vasseur was self-critical. He didn't hide behind a podium. We didn't have a good first part of the championship. We underperformed. That's it. We need to be honest. It's the first time the team principal admits it with such clarity. Leclerc's second place and Hamilton's fifth do not change the overall picture. Monaco was a positive interlude, but it's not enough. Analyzing the performances, Vasseur provided an interesting key. In Jeddah, Miami, and Imola, we struggled in qualifying with the softs, but we did well in the race. In Monaco, we took a step forward in preparation. The approach to the weekend was better. We didn't understand everything, but we did a good job. Translated, the problem is not always the car, sometimes it's the method. And even the discussion about the new rule of the 2 mandatory pit stops did not go unnoticed. Vasseur made a precise jab. Some teams have deliberately slowed down a car to give the pit stop to the other one. With this rule, it can be done. We will have to discuss it. Here's the point in Formula 1. The rules create opportunities, and often the cleverest take them. Now, testing in Barcelona. That's where we'll start to understand if Ferrari has really taken the right path. Because if with a new wing and no other updates they manage to stay in the leading group, then we'll know that the potential is there. But what if they struggle there too, with McLaren on the rise and Red Bull always ahead? With only one car, the risk is that they'll face a summer of chasing. The second part of the season starts now, and Ferrari has no more excuses. In the 2025 Spanish Grand Prix, the new Fédération Internationale de l'Automobile Directive on front wings officially debuts, with 3 updated and much stricter flexibility tests. A turn of events that forces all teams, including Ferrari, to redesign their front wings from scratch. The goal is to reduce the cunning use of aerodynamic deformation, and those who have pushed too far with flexible materials and mechanisms will have to backtrack. The new tests increase the required rigidity by up to 66% at certain points. To clarify, this means 66% more rigidity. We're saying that a wing that used to visibly flex in a straight line can no longer do so. But why is all this coming only now, after a third of
the season? The
Fédération Internationale de l'Automobile had not yet determined how to properly test wings designed radically differently among teams. Tom Bazes made it clear. Each team distributes the aerodynamic load in a unique way on the outside, inside, along the profile, on the trailing edge. In short, finding a test that works for everyone was very complicated. The first experimental study started as early as SPA 2024 with visual stickers on the flaps and onboard cameras to monitor the flexing. After months of data collection and analysis, the Fédération Internationale de l'Automobile finally set objective parameters. But to introduce a compliant wing, at least 3 months of development were needed. That's why everything is postponed to Barcelona. The Fédération Internationale de l'Automobile tests are done with the car stationary, while on the track the aerodynamic forces are dynamic and complex. No test can perfectly replicate real conditions, but the guideline is clear. If you respect the test and do not have suspicious internal mechanisms, you are legal. As Tombazi said, our policy is simple. If someone passes all the tests without mechanisms, then everything is in order. But it's clear that this directive could change the balances. Due to this, Ferrari will only introduce a new front wing in Barcelona without updates to the floor or suspensions. They want a clear benchmark to understand where they are before revealing any deeper updates in the subsequent races. If you liked the video, hit like, subscribe, and activate the bell so you don't miss out upcoming ones. Let me know what you think in the comments, and see you next time.